Wonderful. So welcome to week 2 of the Happimind programme. So last week we were exploring the power of appreciation, and today we're diving into storytelling with the Beliefs of Brilliance. Then next week we're unleashing our creative genius. And then after that, what are we doing? We are getting out of overwhelm and making good things happen. That sounds quite groovy. And then last but not least, we are exploring energy and emotions, but we're doing that with the support of my very, very, very good friend, Eleanor Pratt, who is a yoga instructor, and she's coming to join us to show you guys and me some body flow clock, which is some kind of, I've never done it before, but it sounds wonderful. You can do it seated, you can do it standing. It's very yogic and relaxing, which sounds wonderful to me. So I'm looking forward to that. So, Claire and Graham, you've not joined us before, so I just want to check in. How familiar are you with Zoom? Are you comfortable with how to use it? Do you need a little kind of guided tour?
I've used Zoom a few times, yeah, I know.
I'm reasonably confident that I can do most things.
Super, super duper. Well, anything that you get a bit, just holler for help. Just, hand up or whatever. So super duper, super duper. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put everybody on mute. Don't mute yourself, Colette. That's a bad idea. How not to do it? Oh, hello. Alice, oh my word, Alistair's missus is going invisible, visible. Hello. It's like a little slice of magic right there.
That's our Karen. Wee slice of magic.
Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. Yes, so if, just for the quality of the recording, if we go on mute and then we can unmute when we're going to chat, that would make things easier, as long as I don't do that, if I'm the one that's talking, clearly. So I shall do that, just to make it a wee bit easier. Wonderful. Don't do that, don't do that. So today we are exploring storytelling with the Beliefs of Brilliance. So before we go on, what I like to do is kind of warm us up a little bit. And I've met most of you, but not 2 of you. And I'm curious how well you guys know each other. I know a few of you know each other very well. So we're going to be getting to know each other a wee bit better as the session goes on anyway. But what I would like to start off with is a bit of a warm-up. So for the warm-up, because today is all about telling a story, let's start with a story. So how many people have we got? How will we do it? Going round the room. Right. What I would like you to do is I am going to start with Diane. Well, I'll start with myself and then I'm going to pass it over to Diane. And Diane, you can choose who you're going to go next and then just say the person's name. And then all you need to do is just follow the flow of what I'm saying, Diane's saying. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to make up a story, because that is what life is all about. So, once upon a time, there was a weird and wonderful woman called Colette. And she was living in a building site because she was getting her basement done up. And she was feeling a little bit overwhelmed and a bit headachy. But everything was going to be okay. And one day, she met an equally weird and wonderful woman called Diane. And then Diane, what I would like you to do is just say, and Diane, say something about what's happening, the context of your life, how you're feeling about that, and then on whatever adventure you want to go on to, then you met the next person. So when you were skipping down through a forest, you met a wonderful person called Alistair, and then pass it over to him. Does that make sense to everybody? So you're introducing yourself, and then you're talking just a very brief context of your life once upon a time, and then say how you felt about that context of your life, and then pass it on. Because the adventure of life is we meet somebody else and it's passed over to them. Does that make sense? Super duper. What do you?
Okay, so Diane, Colette met Diane, and then Diane went off for a walk along the canal path because she's doing a walk for charity, a virtual walk for charity. And the sun was shining and she was feeling great because this time last year she was stuck at work and now she's not, so she was feeling really good. And then all of a sudden she saw Alistair.
Well, when Diane and I were out for this virtual walk, and it's just as well it was virtual because those who know me going walking for no good reason, not happening. When Diane and I were out for this virtual walk, I was then inundated. I made the mistake of having my mobile phone on me, and I was inundated with ping, ping, ping. But it was exciting news because I got my new laptop, which means that you can see the whole background behind me. And Alistair is able to tell and welcome our new people by also telling them that this festival is sponsored by the Wellbeing Fund, and we're very, very grateful to them. So Alistair therefore was really, really excited because he was then able to pass on to Morag and get her to tell you all about what she's been doing today.
Well, she's not going to tell you much about what she was doing today because she was doing grand report backs. But one thing she was able to say to me is she was awfully glad he had his big screen, but I wasn't going to need mine so much now because I'd had a lovely visit yesterday from my 2 grandchildren. And for the first time in 100 and I don't know how many days, I was able to get a hug. I also learned that during the time that they have been off, my very clever granddaughter had gone on being her usual beautiful, clever self. But my grandson, who struggles with his words and numbers a little bit, had cracked all his words and all his numbers. He read out all the Monopoly cards and he calculated all his dice and all his moves and did his multiplying sums as we went. I was so exhausted that I had to go out, and when I was out walking in our local forest with the children being really exciting, we happened upon that very lovely lady that cheers me up a lot, Muriel.
Unmute. We need to unmute you. System's not letting me unmute you.
Muriel, you need to unmute.
There we go. There we go.
Here I go. Okay, I've unmuted me. I can talk again. And I like talking, and it was lovely hearing Morag's story. I've got a daughter called Morag as well, so that relates to me very, very deeply. And I think Morag has been very instrumental in me learning about cue and review. But most of all, what I've been finding coming out of whatever we've been doing, I found this gratitude has been so important to me, and I'm trying to work out the difference between gratitude and appreciation because they both sound the same to me. And I think gratitude of knowing that we're doing what we're doing, but I've just been in a little world all of my own this last week, and I've learned so much about so many things. And Diane, you've been really part of that journey, and also Colette, you've both been very part of this journey of new beginnings. So I'm going to pass on to Graham to find out, you're a newie, how would you feel where you are now in this journey? He has to unmute.
Blocking me. There we go. On this journey, it's been great, and I've met all these people on this virtual walk, and I do a lot of walking. And I don't just do a lot of walking, but I do a bit of thinking as well, because you can see all sorts of interesting things in nature. And that is often a hook to provide a hook for a story. And I'm so thankful to Muriel and to, in fact, to others for Claire really first for introducing me to the Writers Club in Lennoxton. So I've been going along there, and I've met lots of lovely people, and it has lit a spark, or created a spark that's been long languishing in the fireplace, not doing an awful lot. So I'm now springing to life, and I'm writing things like mad. And one of the things that I did write, well, several of the things that I've written have been accepted by the Campsie people. And to hear more about that, I'll hand you over to Claire.
Okay, well, on my journey today, I was talking to someone who, two people who run a company called Virtual Laura, who the connection was I did some networking, and the person I was networking with, which is walking and talking, introduced me to these two ladies, and this one lady had this most brilliant idea about how I could use my second book called I Can Create Stories, which is all about getting children to create stories in different ways, to actually put it together and run something in Facebook, and they can help me with it, which is great because I can do the videos, but I'm not familiar with anything else. I then also was talking to someone from LinkedIn, because I'm offering to help people who have a writing project and helping them through that. And this lady had a book idea, and we talked about it for an hour, and she went away happy, and she very kindly put the nicest review I can think up on LinkedIn. And later on today, when I finish here, I'm going to dive in to actually carrying on with the story which I'm writing, which I am just going to finish very, very soon. So once I'd done that, I went outside and I had a lovely walk through the woods where I am, and then I met Lachie.
All right. So on my journey today, I was at a beach and I had a good time. I went swimming and stuff, and I was doing this virtual meeting with some of my friends, and it's been a great journey getting to use Zoom and finding out and speaking to people in different ways. And yeah, it's been a good journey.
Wonderful. And then you met a crazy old woman called Colette, and she wrapped it all up. Thank you very much, guys, for that. It's the lovely way to get an insight into you, and just how did you find that in terms of listening to each other, what's going on for each other? It's really nice, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Excellent, yes.
That's the joy of storytelling at the end of the day, that it gives us a bit of an insight on a deeper level as to what's going on for people. And that's why we're going to be exploring it today. But before we go into that, Muriel, you asked a wonderful question. What's the difference between gratitude and appreciation?
Yes, I'm very actually anxious to get that right.
Well, what if there wasn't any right or wrong with that one? What if it was just a preference for term? Because energetically, it kind of is the same thing. It's being thankful for. But if you think about, for me, appreciation is more a savouring. So it's more an embodying of that gratitude. So it's spotting the tiny little things. And if you think about, are you familiar with mindfulness?
Yes.
So just that slowing down and just really noticing and savouring each moment. To me, that's what appreciation is.
Yes.
Whereas gratitude for me is more of an intellectual thing, that I am thankful for X, Y, and Z. Whereas appreciation for me helps me kind of bring it a little bit deeper.
Okay.
But when we look up dictionary definitions, there's not really that much difference.
No, that's what I thought. Yeah.
So just run. I'm a big believer in we make up our own rules. So if a gratitude practice resonates more with you, roll with that. And if an appreciation practice resonates more with you, you roll with that.
Okay.
Never ever let linguistics get in the way of creating a habit that supports us.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's spotting things that support us and acknowledging them and really appreciating them, feeling them.
Okay.
That's all that matters.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for asking questions, because when we do workshops and we have conversations like this, when we go away and we start actually implementing it, sometimes things come up and you're like, I wonder what that's all about. So when that happens, feel free to post in the Q and review group, and feel free to PM me, or equally like on each workshop, then do just feel free to ask any questions at all.
Okay, so I've just got a thing on gratitude. I got it on the internet. I might send it out. It's actually brilliant. It's talking about it's really good. It's a gratitude wheel. And I just got that this afternoon. So sorry, I don't want to interrupt the session, but it was coming from last week.
It's very, very related, because our thoughts create our world. So our thinking pattern and the things that we appreciate and the things that we see and acknowledge in the world become our experience. They become the stories that we tell ourselves the stories we tell each other, which is why it's important and why all of these workshops are independent but linked. Because when we've got a habit of appreciation and we start to notice the things in the world that are more supportive of us, then it becomes more apparent that we start telling ourselves stories that support ourselves.
Okay.
Because we notice different things in the world, rather than focusing on the stuff that is wrong and doesn't work and hurts and all of that. That still exists. It's just we've changed where we're looking. So it's very much part of storytelling. So thank you. Thank you. That's a lovely segue. So I am going to share my screen. So what, have you guys got your paper and your pens?
Yes.
Wonderful, because I am going to invite you to draw a circle.
Sorry?
Because I know you guys love a bit of art.
Draw a circle.
That's aimed directly at Alistair. So a circle, and then let me get my screen up. Oh, wrong one. Exit. There we go. Share screen. And play. So here, can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
So this is called a wheel of life. And all it is a visual representation of some of the aspects of our life. So what I would like you to do is basically create that. So you've drawn your circle, and now if you just draw 1, 2, 3 lines, then that will create the 8 sections of that wheel. And now the wonderful thing about labels, because we're going to label each of these sections, as you can see here. Like we were talking about there, linguistics can sometimes get in the way. So the labels that we give things can sometimes, if they don't resonate with us, then it can cause a bit of a disconnect with our understanding. It's not about the label. This is about finding a label in a word that resonates with you, so you create a wheel that really represents your life. So the labels here are work is one, and work might resonate with you. It might be contribution, because for me, work is more about how we show up and how we give what we give to the world. It might be career, it might be business. It's a word that resonates with you. That's all that matters. Because this is your wheel. You don't need to show it to anybody else. All that matters is it resonates. Next one, meaning. That could be purpose. That could be faith. That could be connection. We've got health and well-being. And that could be happiness. It could just be well-being. You might want to divide it into two and make it physical health and mental health. We've got relationships. That can just be relationships. It can be people. You can divide that, you can subdivide it into your partner, your kids, your colleagues, your friends. Leisure could be hobbies, could be fun. Finances could be money, it could be wealth, could be abundance, could be security. Environment could be your community, it could be your home, it could be where I live. I'm hearing a noise and I hope it's not me. And personal growth. That could be personal development. That could be learning. That could just be growth. And once you've labelled your wheel with terms that resonate with you, just let me know.
My pen down, Colette.
Are you done? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Me too.
Super duper. Super.
Go for it.
Alistair Graham and Lockie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful. So once you've got that ready, if you imagine the middle of that wheel marking a 0 and the edge of that wheel marking a 10. And that scale...
Yeah, I've done this before. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that scale is how satisfied you are with that particular aspect of your life. So you can mark it with a number, you can mark it with a dot. It's entirely up to you. And don't overthink it, so just go with your gut there.
Oh, Piggy in the middle.
Oh, there we go. Escape, escape. Now, once you've done that, what I would like you to do is pick one aspect, and you can do as many as we get through, but just think about the satisfaction level that you've marked down, and then think what's going on there. So why are you a number 5? Why are you a number 3, a number 8? And just in one sentence, write that down. So what are you telling yourself that's the reason that you've got that level of satisfaction with that aspect?
Colette, what was the one between personal growth and finances? I've written it down and I can't read my own handwriting.
It was environment, I think.
Environment, thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Apologies for going AWOL there. The joys. How are you getting on?
Right?
Yep.
I haven't fallen off the planet yet.
Did you
I don't know
not
if I'm
hear
doing
that
it right, but I'm
our friends in America think that it's flat Earth again? So, you know, you might fall off, Muriel.
you might fall off the planet, then it'll be a big bang.
You can always land in Mayhem, don't worry.
Well, if you do fall off, that would be your journey's end, and you'd stop worrying about it. There you are.
I've always wondered why Karen always gets me to walk down the stairs first.
You made a good land, soft landing. This is very much a who am I?
It's quite profound at times.
Life is. How are you all getting on? Have you managed to work through that okay? Have you got a wee sentence that explains the reason that you're where you're at?
Yes.
Wonderful. What I would love to invite you to do is pick one aspect that you would like to develop, that you would like to focus on, and imagine what life would be like if that was a number 10, if you were fully satisfied, if your satisfaction level is a number 10 in that aspect. What's that like for you? How would you know that you've got that 10, that you're rocking and rolling in your personal growth or your home or your finances or your relationship? Now, I am a little bit paranoid about my connection, so you guys are very still, which means I don't know if you've frozen.
Alive, actually.
But concentrate.
I was thinking.
Asking you to do a static activity, and I'm like, I don't know if I've lost connection.
Be off my stride.
You do realise this is the quietest collection of Q and Review volunteers have been in a very long time. Colette. We're not normally this quiet.
Oh, I'm challenging you.
I can't think and write at the same time.
Well, so once you've got that, so once you've gone round your circle and you've written down the reasons why you're at the satisfaction level you are, and then you're picking one that you would like to nurture, so one that's probably quite low that you would like to lift up a little bit, and then tapping in to what that number 10 is like. So I'm curious if anybody would like to share what came up for you there when you were thinking about the reasons why it is that. What came up?
I'm happy to go first there, Colette.
Yeah.
For environment, for the few people that actually have been into the inner sanctum that is my home, the environment for me involves a score of 4, and it is because my ideal would be to get the lady who does the personal organising over in Bearsden. There's a lady that does that online. Get her across to motivate my wife and I to have a right good clear out, because I like to be organised and I like to have a clear desk and all that. My partner maybe is different in that, and Morag may wish to. Morag has been in her house, right? So my ideal would be to get to a 10. My ideal would be to have my own space that I could go into, that nobody else was allowed in, that I could have just the way I wanted. Clean, tidy, etc. And that's the reason you've got a background here, because those who saw me last week know that the ironing board, the bookcase and the storage units are all right behind me at the moment.
The joy of a background, it covers many sins. So when you're thinking, sorry.
I thought you were finished. Go on.
No, you go.
I would say when I looked at mine, most of the things that I was on the lower side of the scores, and most of my scores I'm delighted to say were not that low, it's mainly things I personally cannot control are what's stopping me getting to the 10. I might be able to get from like a 6 or a 7 to an 8 or a 9, but usually the thing that's stopping me completely achieving are things I can't control, somebody else's input is affecting. And that's something I've just learned to live with, you know.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. So hold on to that, because we're going to explore this in the next bit with the Beliefs of Brilliance. Who else would like to share? And it might be that you want to share not necessarily the lower to the 10, but it might just be that you want to share just one of them. Because
well, I was going to say that having looked at my wheel, that all the things which are scoring high are the things which I'm doing in an attempt to earn an income. After 21 years of being a full-time parent, we'd quite like to earn some money. And I'm doing a lot of very different things, and I'm trying a load of things out. And actually, much as I think I'm in a guddle, I probably know where I'm going after a fashion.
So when you look at your wheel and the different aspects of your wheel, and you don't need to share this, but when you think of that, and what's your why statement? So I am at a 7 because X, Y, and Z. So it's the kind of tap into the thought that comes after the because. So for you, Morag, you're saying because it's out with my control.
Uh-huh.
So it's that kind of thing. And what I was hearing with you, Alistair, was because perhaps you and your wife have got a different way of organising things. It would be useful to have an impartial person to come in and facilitate that change.
I think the one solution is a box of matches at times, but never mind.
Short-term solution. We're looking for sustainable success here. Would anybody else like to share what they've got in their wheel and that what they've noticed that they're saying the because? So I am satisfied to a 6, a 7, a 3 because. What about you, Diane? You're beavering away there, writing down.
I'm doodling. Right.
Well,
go.
Oh no, you go.
No, the one that features the lowest score for me is purpose, and that's just because where I am in my life now, really, and I just don't know where to start with that even.
Yeah.
In a very busy job this time last year, and now I'm not working. Plus, the coronavirus is stopping us from doing anything much. So it's just I think that's what's going on for me. I just don't even know where to start with that one, to be honest.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. So I'm going to share another wee screen here because this is storytelling with the Beliefs of Brilliance. Now, what I'm hoping you're beginning to get a bit of a sense of is wherever we're at in all the different aspects of our life, we've all got a story going on because that's what we are as humans. We're meaning-making machines that we can't get out of it. That's just what we do. And it's interesting, the stories that we do tell ourselves about different things. Because let me share this little, I need to share my screen first before I do that. Here we are. So this little image here, in terms of the stories we tell ourselves, it's really all about perspective. So we can only look at one thing at one time from one angle. So the stories that we are telling ourselves about our life, it's just the view that we've got in that moment. So to give you an example, like here's a book, and the image that you guys have got is of, well, I can't see it very well, can I? Because I've got it to there. So it's, you've got a picture of roof-toppers and the Eiffel Tower and things like that. That's not the image that I've got. So at the back of this, if I were to describe it, it would be completely different to your perspective. And that's what life's all about. So when we do a wheel of life, and when we start to think, well, I'm satisfied to this degree, and these are the reasons why that is, that's only our perspective in this moment from the angle that we're looking at. So when we're kind of experiencing something that's a little bit frustrating, a little bit overwhelming, all those feelings we kind of spoke about at the beginning, then that's just an indication that the direction that we're looking in that moment isn't supporting us that much. But if we shift, so if we're starting here, we can shift lots of different directions and get curious how else we can see our life. So what other perspectives are there in our story right now? And this is where having an appreciative practice can really come on board. Because the more that we give feedback to other people, and the more we give to other people, and the more we allow ourselves to receive that feedback and open ourselves up, then the easier it is to hear other people's perspectives. Because just now, when people share a different view to let you know that something you're doing is wonderful, then often, because we're British, we tend to brush it off. When that's a perfectly valid perspective that we are not willing in that moment to consider that actually you're showing up and, you know, you're really rocking in that element of your life. Whereas it might be that for us, we are telling ourselves a story that we're totally not rocking it. But the more resourceful we get from that appreciative habit, the more likely it is that we're going to allow all of those good things and all of those good observations into our life. So that's something to bear in mind. When we're feeling that frustration, how do we know that's true? Because when we acknowledge it, it's just a story that we're telling ourselves, it's got a different spin to it. So what I would like to introduce you to is the Beliefs of Brilliance, which are these. There are 3, and oh dear me, let me move that over. Move it over, move it over. And my mouse isn't even working today. Can you see that okay? I'm not having a good time of it, am I? Dear me. So the Beliefs of Brilliance: radical acceptance, radical responsibility, and radical compassion. Now, the reason they're radical is my invitation to you here is to not make any excuses for it. If it's radical, you're accepting it across the board. So no excuses, no, oh, but in this context, it's not really relevant. If you accept it, you're accepting it. So what I would like you to do is we'll have a little bit of a chat about what these actually mean. And then I'm going to break you out into your breakout rooms, because what I would like you to do is look at that one aspect of your life and consider it with the perspective of radical acceptance, of radical responsibility, and radical compassion. And how would these beliefs of brilliance change the story that you're telling yourself, which is ultimately changing your experience of it. And when we change your experience of it into a more resourceful experience, then that positions us to take more action, to make good things happen, which so happens to be our next workshop. As they link together.
Just before everybody goes into the breakout rooms, Colette, just to let everybody know that when you're in a breakout room, the conversations there are not recorded. It's only when we're all together here that the calls are recorded.
So you are completely and utterly safe to share whatever it is that you're wanting to share, and I don't hear it and it's not recorded. And on that note also, if there's anything that's said that you'd prefer to not be in the programme, do let me know and then I can cut it out, I can edit it. Oh dear me, today is not a good day for me. Apologies, apologies, apologies. I can't even get out of the screen share now. Come on, come on. So,
Colette, you just need to radically accept the fact that nothing is working.
So this is a wonderful, Let me explain what this is, because it's so true. So right now, in this moment, I am probably about a level 3 in terms of how satisfied I am as to how I have shown up in this workshop right now. So, radical acceptance is, it is what it is. The technology today is not supporting me. There is not a lot I can do about that, because My stress levels have kind of went up a bit. My resourcefulness has decreased, which means that I'm not as on the ball as I would normally be. I completely accept responsibility for that. That is a consequence of my own choices and actions. I live where I live. I have got the internet connection that I've got. These are all the little choices I've made that have led me to today. That's an example of radical responsibility.
Does that then mean we have to show you radical compassion?
Well, yes. But more than that, I need to show myself radical compassion. So because all of the tiny choices that I've made throughout the last, however, weeks, months, years, that have brought me to you, this moment in time, I'm feeling compassion for myself for that. And the more that I feel compassion for myself and go, right, okay, it is what it is, I'm accepting responsibility, just breathe it out, then I feel a little bit better about this whole situation, which makes me more resourceful, I'm more able to show up, etc. So that's thank you, universe, for that one, for throwing that to me. But that's how the beliefs of brilliance work. So when you're looking at the aspects of your life, when you embody the beliefs of brilliance, how does that change things? So what are you accepting and what are you not? Because we all resist something. What are you taking responsibility for and what are you not? Because when we are not getting the result that we want, if the result that we want isn't within our control, why are we wanting that result? Which is just something to explore, which is, you know, it can bring up quite a few interesting things, and it might be that we just want to change our focus just a little bit so we are in control of the thing that we're creating. And equally, from that compassion point of view, what am I telling myself the reasons are that I've not done that thing? Am I telling myself that I'm not good enough, or I'm rubbish, or all of these kind of things that come up? And if we are, or when we are, then it's, well, how can we change that? How can I be more compassionate to me? And when people are annoying me because they're not doing the things that they're meant to do, how can I show more compassion to them? And get curious about Alistair. You're channeling tolerance. So, let me see if it's going to work now that I Dear me, come on you. So let's not go into a breakout room. I am accepting that that's not going to happen. Oh, good Lord. So, when you look at your wheel, who would like to share what comes up for you in terms of what I'm talking about with these beliefs of brilliance and how that applies to your life? And the room goes quiet. Which is why it's better to do it in a breakout room, because it's a lot easier to have it as a private chinwag.
Shall I say something?
Yes.
With regard to the purpose thing, I mean, part of what you said really rings true with me, because I fully appreciate that everything I've done up until now has put me in this position, and this is the position I wanted, and now basically I don't know what to do with it. So, and I'm questioning what I've done. I think I've just got to be, maybe just relax about it a little bit, and it will come, maybe the situation will sort itself out, or it will come to me. I don't know. The universe provides, as you said, but
I don't know if Diane will know a Scottish saying, "What's for you, it won't go by you." And I must admit, Diane, that is a saying that has kind of governed my life. That there are many, many situations, and again, because Morgan and I have worked together for all these years, 28 years, there have been many, many situations in life where you think, oh heck, what am I going to do? How's it going to work out? And then you'll meet somebody will walk through the door, you'll bump into an old friend, and again, I always say I've acted the daft laddie for the last 40 plus years. And I ask people stupid questions, and sometimes they give you sensible answers. And I certainly find that when I am losing focus or losing guidance, something, whether it's a higher power, whatever you want to believe in, something will indicate to me where I should be going. That's the only profundity you're going to get out of me tonight.
That's very much appreciated, Alistair. No, I think I just get a bit tied up in what I don't know, if you see what I mean.
For me, Diane, that comes down to two things. One's a film and one's a poem. The Tom Hanks film, where he's been cast away, and the scene towards the end, which my minister's used on many occasions, is probably why it's so fresh in my mind. He is on this road, and he's at a crossroads, and there is nothing. It's the middle of the desert, and somewhere in mid-America, and there is nothing to see in either direction, any direction. So to me, that always is, you have the choice when you're at that point. Do you dither about, which at the moment you're kind of being forced to do, or do you say, I'll try that road, I can always turn back? And the other one is the Robert Frost poem, where he's in a snowy wood and he sees two tracks and he takes one. And he says he took the road less travelled by, and oh, the difference to me. And he just leaves it at that. And you don't know whether it was a positive difference, a negative difference. Did he ever come back round? But again, he stood and he looked, and then he had to do something. So he did something and hope for the best.
Thank you.
And that's life.
Yes.
So that's
To coin a song.
Really, really, we should all break into song. That was really beautiful, Morag, so thanks for sharing that. And that really illustrates so well that our life experience is in the story that we're telling ourselves. So when you're feeling...
Who am I? That's what I'm actually asking myself at this moment in time. Who am I, and what am I supposed to be doing at this point in time? And what is the story I've got to say? I've got a poem here that I actually wrote, and it's thoughts. This is when we say what we shouldn't say and do what we need not do. Why, oh why do we determine to make our life so blue? Our pathway through life may be strewn with pain, but in the end, how we will gain if the road that we follow will be one of delight, when we sit at the feet of the one who makes all things right. So stop plotting and scheming and just let go to a life that is blessed, so others may know His love is freely given to all, and what you will be and that you will be caught whenever you fall.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just saying that who we are, and we're okay, and we'll get there. And it's acknowledging that we have a plan. There's a purpose for us, I believe, in where we're going. And as Alice just says, people come across your path for a reason. They come across your path for a season to lead you on to that next point. And I've been very conscious of that. I feel even this course is part of that journey. It's something that is going to help us onto that next stage of realization of where our value is and what we're meant to be doing.
Yeah. For me, what I heard there was around for me, that was around radical acceptance, in that so often we really feel the need and want to have a full picture and a direction of exactly how our life is going to unfold, when acceptance is just knowing that you're putting one foot in front of the other. And that's all any of us can be sure of. Everything else is in our imagination. But the radical acceptance is, my power is now. And the responsibility is, my power is now. So I'm going to take responsibility for putting one foot in front of the other if I choose to, or not, and just stay where I am. And the compassion is, if I fall over and, make a boo-boo, or if I don't like the road that I decide to go down, that's okay. I can turn back, or I can go a different direction. And the people I meet, for good or for bad, compassion to them, because they're showing up in exactly the same journey. We're all just in life together, aren't we?
Yeah. We've all got a story to tell.
Exactly. And the story that we've got to tell isn't necessarily the technicolored one of our life. It's history, isn't it? So it's one perspective of how we remember our life in that moment. That's what it's like when you go to a party, isn't it? Everybody can tell a story of what it was like, but everybody's got their own different perspectives and telling a different story of exactly the same event. And each person, their story is just as true and just as real as everybody else's. It's just different.
And the thing of this too shall pass is also something that you hold on to. This isn't going to be forever. It's for this moment in time.
Yep. Yep. If we're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, sad, any kind of feeling that's not supporting us, we've measured too soon. Because so often, we think that we should be a particular place. And back to acceptance, the place that we are right now is where we're meant to be. So if we're feeling frustrated about our progress, we've just measured it too soon, and all we need to do is put, again, one foot in front of the other and just remind ourselves, do I want to be on this path? Take responsibility for it. If I do want to continue with this hard work or whatever that you're feeling, then take responsibility for it, and then it becomes less like hard work because it's a choice to take that action then. Whereas we tell ourselves a story that, it's really hard work and I need to do this. We don't. It doesn't need to be hard, and we don't need to do it. So I'm very conscious of time, and I'm very conscious my computer no longer works. Nothing I'm touching is making a difference. Oh, dear me. Okay. So,
can you see your next slide? Can you just read it to us? Would that work?
No, because it's not. I'm touching it and it's not doing anything.
Oh, right. It's
not. So I've got you guys down the side. I can only see 4 of you.
Uh-huh.
It's not very helpful. It's not very helpful. Okay. So my invitation to you is to just reflect on that. So between now and next week, obviously these workshops are independent, but they're linked. So Diane, lucky for you, next week we're unleashing creative genius, which sounds like that's exactly what you're after.
So Diane's not saying anything.
My attendance next week will depend whether the tide is going in or out at large, right?
Oh, really? Oh, lovely.
And if I'm sitting at a nice bar with my chilled drink, I may decide that I am accepting that I should be where I am. I am responsible just for not spilling the drink, and compassion for all you people that aren't sitting watching the tide go in and out. But if I'm home and tucked up, I'll join you.
Both of those options sound absolutely wonderful.
Right, yes, I like them both. They both get a 10, you know, it's just which 10 do I go for?
That's a good place to be, isn't it?
Yep.
I think there's also something about recently, well, not recently, a number of years ago, I had to go through some therapy and whatnot. And one of the things that I learned as well is all about baby steps. And, you know, that's kind of what you're talking about just now, Colette, that basically, you know, if you take one step at a time, you don't need to plan your 26-mile marathon or whatever. You know, you take that first step. And I must admit, at the time, for me, it was things like, you know, making it to the end of the path in my garden, making it to the end of the street, etc. There was things around about that. Whereas these days, I'm actually quite accepting of the fact that I'm actually enjoying being at home. I'm enjoying my garden. I'm enjoying, you know, meeting people in this fashion, because I'm also feeling that I'm accomplishing a lot more than I would normally, because I've not got all the other nonsense round about it that sometimes can be very nice nonsense, but I'm able to focus down on what I'm doing. So that's where acceptance and responsibility comes in. I'm happier with this situation right now, but I will say my levels of compassion right now are pretty low. Right? I'm not feeling very compassionate at the moment. So other than in this group, of course.
And that is a wonderful observation. So my invitation to you guys between now and next week, and just for the rest of your life really, is to notice which beliefs that you're sticking on. So what do you find most challenging to accept the moment and what actually is happening, to take responsibility for the actions and non-actions, or to feel compassion for yourself and for other people. And whichever one or multiple that you find as your kind of sticking block, then play a game with it. Just invite yourself to grow in that way and get curious. So if compassion is the stumbling block, then what do you understand to be compassion? Much like Muriel was asking earlier on around appreciation and gratitude, because sometimes it can be in our understanding of that, what that means. So for example, with compassion, the reason that's there is that there's an amazing body of research around adverse childhood experiences. And there's a question that practitioners are really encouraged to ask now. And it's rather than what's wrong with them for doing the thing that they're doing, it's getting curious about what happened to them for them to show up in that way. And that really shifts it, because in terms of our behaviour, we show up based on the things that we believe to be true and the things that are important to us. And we've got a whole lot of triggers going on in our body based on prior experience of life. So often what we see in other people is just symptomatic of other stuff that's gone before us, the responsibility stuff. So while we don't have control over other people, we've got control over ourselves. And compassion's just an invitation to get curious. I wonder what happened to them for them to show up in that way. And equally for us, it's, I wonder what happened for me to feel the way that I'm feeling. I wonder what I'm believing for me to feel the way that I'm feeling. And that's okay. That's okay that I'm feeling that way. I'm okay. So between now and next time, I would love you to get curious about those things and how they could kind of change the story that you guys are telling yourselves about your life and about other people's, because it can be quite groovy to shift our perspective. So on that note, I shall love you and leave you. Huge apologies. I feel a little bit weird because I can't see you all.
You don't know if we're still here or not.
Can I just give the plug, so to speak, particularly for our new members who are extremely welcome tonight. One of the things about what Q Review is doing right now is trying to reach as many blind people as possible with what it is that we're doing. And particularly for our new team members tonight, could you go to qreview.com/promotion, and you'll find there some posters, some memes, and now our new little programs called Q Talks that Liz has been putting together. And if you are able to promote them on your social media, in your church groups, on your Zoom calls, whatever, please do so. And in that way, I'm also then able to tell you that it's that way. Tonight's session has been funded by the Scottish Government's Wellbeing Fund, and we're very grateful for them for their assistance tonight.